Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. This is episode 64 of the Austin Downbeat. I'm Kat, your host. Thank you again for joining me today. First, we're going to do the rundown, but I have a special program for you today, but we'll talk about that in a second. The rundown for today covers August 8th through the 14th and just a small snapshot of a few people that are playing this week. So be sure to check your favorite places to check so that you can go see some live music this week. Hopefully in an indoor place, not outdoor since it's so bloody hot. Here we go. On August 8th, that's Tuesday, we have Van Jackson at the Continental Club. On the 9th, Guy Forsyth is over at Sagebrush. Kelly McWheat is at Saxon Pub. On the 10th, the band Restos, who Graham Weber, who's just recently on the show, they have a residency at Seaboys, so be sure to catch them during this residency. So that's on the 10th. Restos is at Seaboys. Venus Loves Mars is at the Rio Friendly Market. On the 11th, Madame Radar is at Saxon Pub. Britt Daniels, lead singer of Spoon, he's at Antone's. On the 12th, we have a few. We have Brian Wolf, and he's at Desert Door Distillery, lots of D's. Ruthie Kraft at Empire Control Room. She has this song called 19. Guys, I literally listen to it every day. I love it. Also on the 12th, David Ramirez is at Far Out Lounge. Shiny Ribs, we love Kevin. He's at Green Hall. On the 13th, that brings us to my guest today. It's a very special event that I've been talking about, and it's finally coming very close. On August 13th at Emo's, you have a very special benefit put on for a wonderful nonprofit called Connor's Heart, playing. So the doors open at 6, show starts right at 7, guys. Right at 7. Eric Johnson is going to be doing an acoustic set. He was just on the show. He's such a lovely, lovely man. He's playing an acoustic set. David Grissom is playing. Vallejo's playing. Roscoe Beck is playing with Eric, and Lance Keltner and his band is playing as well. And then there will be, I know, there will be some surprise special guests as well. $45 for that ticket, guys. And it is a whole packed night of wonderful music supporting a really wonderful cause, which I'll talk about in a second. So that's August 13th. Be sure to get your tickets. And then on the 14th, that brings us to Monday night. Scott Collins is at the Saxon, and then you have your normal standards. Monday night, you have Bob Schneider at Saxon, and you have Monday Night Supper Club at El Mercado South with Ben Jones, Barbara Nesbitt, Pat, I think, is still on tour, so you know how they always rotate someone in. So that's the rundown. So as I said just a few seconds ago, my guest today is Lance Keltner, who is, he and his wife, Lisa, started this nonprofit after they lost Lisa's son, Connor, to a fentanyl overdose accidental. Obviously, this is not the first time you're hearing about fentanyl. It's everywhere. It's on the news. So they started Connor's Heart, and this concert in Austin at Emo's is the very, very first concert that they're putting on. And your $45 ticket money goes directly into the hands of folks in this city that provide test kits and other preventative and protective measures. So it's money well spent. We have a wonderful conversation about how this all came about. And I really enjoyed talking to Lance. And this event is going to be wonderful. So I think there are some tickets still left, but we want to get a jam-packed house there on August 13th. So anyway, I'm going to zip it and let you watch the interview or the conversation. Please enjoy it with Lance Keltner. Awesome. Lance Keltner, I'm so happy to welcome you to the show tonight. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, happy to talk to you about this very important nonprofit that you and your wife Lisa have. And we, Austin, Texas, get to be the very first city that you're putting the first major concert and event on. So we're going to talk about that tonight and fill everyone in because we want to pack Antone's nightclub, don't we?
No, Emo's.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I don't know why I said antones.
Don't go over there. Go to
Emos.
emo.
Yes, no, go to emos. I don't know why I said
Yeah.
antones. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, well, let's back up and let's start out from the beginning. The name of the nonprofit is Connor's Heart.
Right.
It is a nonprofit that's obviously very close to your and Lisa's heart. So tell us a little bit about Connor and how
Well,
that started.
Lisa and I married about 7 years ago, and Connor was still a teenager. That was her older son.
Mhm.
And he had a little brother, Colby, who's still with us. And Connor, like a lot of young people these days, had a drug problem. And, we're not ashamed to talk about it because it's very common. And we did everything we could to try to help him get out of that situation. But as you know, and everyone else knows, you can't make people get help. And he just last year, sad story, he and his girlfriend had just had a baby, and they were separated at the time. And he apparently was given what he thought were Xanax by one of his friends. And there was a whole group of kids around him that were taking Xanax recreationally. And so he took, I believe, what he thought were Xanax, and it was actually fentanyl, and it killed him. And so it was, for me, it was devastating because Lisa and I had both done everything we could to try to save Connor and try to turn him around, and it just didn't work. And unfortunately for him, he passed away after taking fentanyl, and it was so shocking and at first that I, pardon me, that I didn't have any thought about it at all besides Lisa's loss and the family's loss. As time went by after that, however, I started hearing about other people's children dying of fentanyl and musicians my age dying of fentanyl. We started looking into this a little bit more, and it just came to me one night. I went, literally, I am the least famous of most of my friends. And, I've met a lot of really, big rock stars over the years, and I've played with some rock stars, and I certainly have, associated with a lot of other players who worked at the highest level of the music industry. And I thought, why not form a nonprofit where we can use the talent that we know, get all these people together around the country and do shows that raise awareness, raise money, and help to try to fight this problem. So the idea that we came up with is we named it after Connor's Heart. And the way our company works is we're a 501c3, so we're a nonprofit. And what we've agreed to do is that every single event that we do anywhere in the country, the money made from that event, that show, goes directly to that city.
Mhm.
So, as an example, in Austin, we're partnered with Recovery ATX, and they're a great nonprofit organization. It's right out on the streets helping people with, prevention, test kits, recovery, Narcan. They're in all of that in Austin, and they know that area and how to handle this much better than we do. So what we decided to do all over the country is basically stick to what we know. Lisa has a job in the recovery field, so she's able to network with a lot of people in the different cities and find the right people in each city that are a good fit for Connor's Heart. In Austin, it was Recovery ATX for this show. And so what will happen is all of the money from this first event on August 13th at Emos, all of that money will go, besides expenses, obviously, will go to Recovery ATX and primarily to buy test kits. And one of the things that shocked me when I spoke with them initially is that they can get government grants for test kits and Narcan. However, it takes up to 6 months from the time they fill out a request for those supplies to actually arrive in Austin.
Mm.
And I said, well, what does it cost to buy a test kit? And they're like, oh, it's not that bad. It's like $1.
Mm.
And I went, well, why don't we spend as much money as we can to make sure there's test kits available that you guys can distribute all over Austin? And look at the bottom line. At the end of the day, one of my really good friends who's helping us in New York with our event there hit the nail on the head. He said, if all of this effort saves one life in each city, it's worth it. It's well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided that my genre, I grew up as a guitar player playing classic rock, which classic rock now, I mean, when we did it, it was rock. But I was able to call on a lot of my friends in Austin. And Eric Johnson is a dear friend of mine. I've known Eric since the 80s. I mean, we've gone on vacations together. I mean, I've known this guy forever. And David Grissom and I have worked together before. He's played on a couple of my records. He's an amazing guitar player, amazing human being. And as a lot of you may know that watch this show, you know, David played with everybody from John Mellencamp to the Dixie Chicks, I guess the Chicks, you know, and Joe Ely had his band Storyville. David's a prolific writer, guitar player, guitar star. And I had to call my friends in Vallejo because Vallejo are one of the most fun bands to go see live. Mm-hmm. And they're wonderful human beings. And again, I've known these guys forever. So we put the show together in Austin around that lineup. And just so all of your listeners know, Eric will be playing at 7. He's playing the first set with Roscoe back on bass, and it's going to be an acoustic set. And if you've never seen Eric do his acoustic set, you have to make it. It's mind-blowing. It's so good. He's so good at that. And then my band, Lance Keltner Nuevo Retro, play right after Eric, then followed by Vallejo, followed by David Grissom, and then we're going to have some special guests at the end of the night. Chris Layton from Stevie Ray Vaughan Double Trouble's he's going to come out and play drums. Guy Forsyth's going to come out and do some songs.
Oh, nice.
And Christabel's going to come out and do something with us. And she's just phenomenal and David Lynch's favorite artist. And she's an incredible siren singer. You know, Christabel reminds me of something like stepped right out of a movie from 1940. You know, she's just a gorgeous, amazing singer. And we're going to have a few other guests that pop in as well. But so that's how we're going to run each of these shows. And each of the shows, my idea behind this, our idea, was to set this up like they ran shows in the 50s. Okay, so we'd have like the Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, Richie Valens, all these people would go out in one bus. They'd use one set of gear. And the wonderful thing for the audience when you do it this way is it'll be like Eric Johnson will walk off stage. My band will be on in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll literally be ending my last tune and going, please welcome our good friends Vallejo. They'll walk out while we're tagging that song. So the entertainment factor, there's not going to be a lot of downtime. People won't have 30, 45 minutes between sets. It's going to be a lot of entertainment over the course of just a few hours. So you're going to get to hear 4 bands and then some excellent Austin legendary mainstays come out and jam with us at the end of the night. So it's going to be a fantastic night of music. The tickets are $45. It's going to be well worth it because every bit of that money is going to go and help Austin.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that you're letting people know what they can kind of expect. I'm always I go see a lot of music and I'm down for it. I'm always really pleasantly surprised when something of like what one of the things that you mentioned happened, like whether I don't have to wait an hour and a half for the show to actually start, or when there isn't a half hour between sets. Like that's always, those things are so nice. So I really appreciate you highlighting those things and giving them to the people. $45 for a ticket is nothing for all that people are going to get. I feel like it's going to be old school, you know, just jam-packed and a wonderful, wonderful night of music for everybody.
Well, you know what's crazy too is that the Emo's venue used to be the back room. And that was a lot of our old stomping grounds. Vallejo and myself, you know, a lot of us grew up in that room. And now it's a different name and it's been remodeled, but it's like kind of old home week for some of us. You know, I mean, one year in the 80s, I opened for Eric on New Year's Eve at the back room.
Oh, wow.
We're going to go back there again and have some fun. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And supporting such a wonderful, wonderful cause that's just really, I think, hard for people, our age. It's hard to kind of imagine that this is sort of the state of things in a way, I mean, I feel like, yeah, when I was a kid, of course, there's always been drugs, but it doesn't feel, I have teenagers now, and it does feel a little different. And it makes me comforted to know that there's people like you and Lisa, that there's, recovery ATXs and of the like in every city and every state that are really on the front line and in the trench trying to, like you were saying before we pushed record, not necessarily to push abstinence, because let's be real, I don't know that that's a realistic fight, but they really are on the front lines handing out test kits. I mean, am I correct to assume, like, are there people on 6th Street, on like the dirty sixth side of 6th Street, like literally handing things out? Is that how it is
Yeah,
these days?
yeah. So we're
Wow.
gonna try to make it after this show where just about anybody in town could easily walk if they have to get a test kit. And
Yeah.
there's lots of videos online that can show these people how to use those test kits.
Yeah.
And you're right. Speaking of what you said about abstinence, it's like we can't expect teens and 20 somethings to really have the foresight to say, I'm going to abstain from doing drugs because it's dangerous. Because when we were that age, none of us felt like anything would ever happen to us. And
Sure.
and so, step one, baby steps. Let's save as many lives as we can with the test kits and the Narcan.
Hmm.
And hopefully when a young person or even somebody our age puts their cocaine in the bag and goes, oh geez, that's not what I bought. That's going to kill me.
Hmm.
Maybe the first, second, or third time that happens, they're going to go, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore because
Right.
it's
Yeah.
life or death,
Yeah.
life or death.
I think it's a layered, and I think the fact that people like yourselves and people that are out there on the front line are approaching this from kind of a sensible place of going, okay, we're going to help them test, we're going to help them, learn. And then maybe, like you're saying, the third or fourth time that this is actually happening, maybe then the message gets received for people to go like, hey, by the way, I'm not going to do this anymore, and this is so dangerous. And also too, I think now more than ever, I personally know someone that has overdosed on fentanyl, and they survived.
Thank
And
God.
when they came out of it, they couldn't feel half of their body. And still to this day, I don't think they have full control over their body. So this is very real. And I don't, and it's similar to like with COVID. At some certain point, we all started to know someone who had COVID, and not the light kind, right? Like we all started to go, oh, I, you very quickly are in the camp of, people that have passed away or you don't. And that's what I think kind of divided us during COVID. And I think fentanyl and opioid and this drug crisis is kind of similar, where it does start to really touch everybody in some way, shape, or form. And
Right.
that alone should be enough to send the message of like, my God, like just be very careful. If you're putting things in your body, at least know what it is,
Well, exactly. And Kat, I think baby steps for our organization are where we're at. If we can just go to each city we have these events in and get test kits out, it's save some lives that way. That's step one.
Yeah.
When we start getting enough money into our organization that we can, the next thing we'd like to do is actually sponsor treatment for people that really need it, that do not have the money and really want it. And
Awesome.
Lisa's in the recovery business now, and she's always been sort of in the medical field. When Connor passed, she took a job in the recovery field, and we've seen how great that can be for people. So we're hoping that once we start making the kind of money we'd like to make at Connor's Heart, that people could literally call us and say, I don't have the money, I don't have the insurance, and I'm afraid for my life, and I want help. and we'll
Mhm.
be able to go, sure, we're going to we're going to sponsor you and get them into a treatment center and try to get their lives changed. You know,
Awesome.
and back to your other statement, I was one of the people that when COVID first happened, I got the worst kind and I nearly died. I was
Mm.
in the hospital for 10 days.
Wow.
And boy, that was life changing for me, though.
Yeah.
I took a hard look at my health, really, turned my health around, and then, then this thing happened where Connor passed. And I was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to trying to help other people not pass away from this drug. We have to do it, you
Yeah.
know.
It's the beautiful and also brutal part of life. I'm comforted by what I always call like the nuggets of gold that are inevitably in every hard thing, and that's the poetry of life, that you have to have the hard and you have to have the beautiful. And I think that what you and Lisa have started out of this really heartbreaking event is really beautiful, and the level of care that you have for complete strangers is really admirable. And so I just want to say thank you for doing the work that you're doing, and putting and wrapping it in, this beautiful hug of music, which is something that speaks to everyone's soul. It's just a wonderful way to do it.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate that. And it's been kind of crazy when I first thought about doing this and we started putting it together. I was like, well, let's see who comes forward and will really help. And it's been amazing how many really busy musicians have gone, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so we've had some great people step up all over the country who are willing to help. And that's been really heartwarming for me to realize that there are so many good people out there that are willing to take the time, and that was in a way almost shocking how many people are helping. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been great, and then we've got some amazing sponsors, Clean Cause, that's a Austin-based company, and they already give a large portion of their profits to recovery centers and things. And so they're going to have free beverages. They're, yerba mate sort of beverages at the show for all the people there. They'll have, like, I think 40 cases to give away. So
Nice.
everybody will have plenty of yummy yerba mate drinks that night. And then Juice Land stepped up for us, and
Oh,
Torchy's
nice.
Taco. Yeah, and so many,
Sweet.
the guys at Rock and Roll Rentals. I mean, the Austin community really stepped up. A lot of people are getting involved and really trying to help. And we need to just sell as many tickets as we can. We want to really, really have that house packed that night.
Yes. So let's tell people where the best place to go is. I know that on your website you can get tickets. So I just want to make
Yeah,
sure people have your website also too, because donations are wonderful to nonprofits. So not only use this website for tickets to this event, but also for donation. And so that website is connors-heart.org to
correct.
do that. And then just the details, it's August 13th at Emo's. The doors open at 6. The show
Right,
starts at 7. And I
right.
feel like it's really going to start at 7.
No, no. I mean, listen, I have to give a shout out to our production manager, Lisa Snow. Lisa Donald Snow is going to be there that evening, and she is one of those by the book thing. So
I love her already.
it'll be a really well structured evening, so that people can count on Eric on stage at 7,
I love
and
that.
probably by 10 o'clock we'll have heard about 3 hours of really fun music.
I love that. All right. So that night, just to remind people, we have Eric Johnson starting it out with an acoustic set with his bass player Roscoe Beck, and then you're going to come on with your band, right? With Nuevo Retro, and then Vallejo's going to come on,
Right.
and then David Grissom, and then you have Guy Forsyth. He's been on the show. We love him so much. And other special guests. So it is a wonderful night of music supporting such a beautiful and important cause for people to really start putting on the front burner, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you never know who's going to show up.
Oh,
We've invited some pretty interesting people, so the special guest section could get really fun and interesting. So it may be more than you expect. We'll see.
I love it. I love it. Well, Lance, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so glad to finally get to a chance to see you. And when
Thank
I
you.
see you in public or when I see you in person, I'll give you a big old hug.
We accept hugs all the time. Thank you so much.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I'll post all these details and I'll keep pushing this until the show because we want to pack emos. So make sure you get your tickets. And thanks again to Lance for stopping by. And this does it for another episode of the Austin Downbeat. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you. Bye
All
for
right.
now.
Bye.